Napoleon Bonaparte, military genius, emperor of the French part-time island tour guide. In 1814, after a decade of turning Europe into one giant game of Risk, Napoleon was finally defeated and exiled to the island of Elba. The Allies were like, okay, good, now let's get back to redrawing maps and ignoring poor people. Problem solved, right? Wrong. Because less than a year later, Napoleon said, screw this, hopped on a boat with a few hundred guys and invaded France like it was a surprise birthday party, and somehow it worked again. Today on Infinitia Verity, we dive into one of the boldest comebacks in history. A retired emperor walks back into the most powerful country in Europe and reclaims the throne in 20 days, without firing a single shot. So, how did this even happen, and could history have gone another way? Let's find out. Alright, picture Europe in 1814 like a massive group project gone horribly wrong. After years of non-stop wars, battles, invasions and oops, I accidentally crowned myself emperor. Napoleon had finally been defeated. The other European powers, Britain, Austria, Prussia and Russia, basically threw a giant "we finally beat Napoleon" party. It was called the Congress of Vienna, and it was half international diplomacy, half royal kegger. Their solution? Send Napoleon to Elba. It's a tiny island off the coast of Italy, about 12 kilometers wide, where he could rule over goats, prune olive trees, and reflect on his life choices, and for a few months he actually did. He was given a small personal army, a palace, and the thrilling job of fixing Elba's sewer system. Seriously. Meanwhile in France, the monarchy was back. King Louis XVIII, who had all the charisma of a wet sponge, was trying to act like the whole revolution thing never happened. The people weren't buying it, soldiers were unpaid, taxes were high, and half the population had grown up thinking Napoleon was basically a cooler version of Julius Caesar. Meanwhile, the rest of Europe was busy arguing over borders, being greedy and generally forgetting that Napoleon was still kind of a thing. Spoiler, big mistake. Okay, so it's February 1815. Napoleon has been chilling on Elba for less than a year, doing local government stuff and probably pretending he doesn't miss conquering half of Europe, but he's been paying attention, and he's realized three important things. 1, the French people hate Louis XVIII. 2, the Allies are distracted arguing over who gets what. 3, he's Napoleon freaking Bonaparte, so naturally he gathers a little squad of loyal troops, hops on a boat and sails right back to France like it's spring break for disgraced emperors. March 1st, he lands near Cannes. No army, no big invasion. Just him, a couple hundred dudes and a dream. Immediately, Louis XVIII is like, oh no, not again, and sends troops to arrest him. Here's where things get ridiculous. As Napoleon marches north, troops are sent to stop him, but instead of arresting him, they join him. One regiment after another defects. At one point, Napoleon literally stands in front of a royalist force, opens his coat and says, if you're gonna shoot your emperor, do it now. Instead, they start cheering. It's like if your ex showed up at your wedding and half the guests switched sides. Meanwhile, in Paris, Louis XVIII is realizing he's about as popular as spoiled milk. As Napoleon gets closer, the king does what any brave ruler would do. He runs away. No dramatic last stand, no real resistance, just royal Uber to Belgium. March 20th, Napoleon enters Paris to thunderous applause. It's been 20 days, no civil war, no bloodshed, just vibes. But now comes the awkward part. Napoleon is emperor again, but the rest of Europe is like, absolutely not. The Allies instantly declare him an outlaw and begin mobilizing their armies. So much for peaceful retirement. Napoleon knows he doesn't have much time. His army is smaller, less trained, and France isn't the war machine it used to be. So he makes a bold move. Strike first, divide the enemy, and knock them out before they can unite. Classic Napoleon. His plan? Head into Belgium and take out the British under Wellington and the Prussians under Blücher before they can link up. June 16th at Ligny, Napoleon beats the Prussians. Kind of. He wins, but they're not destroyed. And Blücher escapes to fight another day. That's going to be important. June 18th, Waterloo. The big one, Napoleon versus Wellington, British versus French, and rain versus everyone. The night before the battle, it pours. Napoleon's cannons get stuck in the mud. Bad omen. The battle is close, Napoleon pushes hard, Wellington holds just long enough. Then boom! Blücher shows up with the Prussians like the Kool-Aid man, and the French lines collapse. It's over. Napoleon loses, again. He returns to Paris, tries to hold on for a few days, then abdicates, again. This time no Elba. The British send him to St. Helena, which is basically Elba, but with even fewer goats and way more boredom. Game over. So, what happens after Napoleon faceplants at Waterloo? Well, first the Allies are like, okay, we really mean it this time, and ship him off to St. Helena, also known as a tiny rock in the middle of the Atlantic where even coconuts get lonely. No more mini-island kingdoms, no more comeback tours, just endless exile, bad weather and, well, awkward British guards. Back in Europe, the Bourbon monarchy is restored, and Louis XVIII waddles back onto the throne like he just stepped out for lunch. France is placed under occupation, has to pay a giant fine, and basically gets told to sit in the corner and think about what it's done. Meanwhile, the Congress of Vienna goes back to redrawing maps and pretending Napoleon never happened, except now they're a little more paranoid. Peace returns to Europe, but it's the kind of peace that comes with constant side-eye and a loaded musket nearby. Napoleon dies in 1821, probably from stomach cancer, possibly from boredom, definitely from being stuck on a rock 2,000 kilometers from literally anything fun, but his legend, that never went into exile. And there you have it, Napoleon's comeback tour, packed with drama, near miracles, and the ultimate not-today moment at Waterloo. He went from island exile to emperor again in just 20 days, proving that sometimes the best way to win is to show up and look confident. But even the greatest showman can be stopped by mud, bad timing, and a couple of armies who really didn't want to lose again. Could history have gone differently? Maybe. If a cannon hadn't gotten stuck, if the Prussians had been later, or if the French troops hadn't gotten tired halfway through, Europe might have had a very different 19th century. But instead, Napoleon's final act was a spectacular reminder that even legends have limits. And honestly, if you ever get sent to an island, just stay there. If you enjoyed this wild ride through history's biggest comeback attempt, don't forget to like, subscribe and hit that bell so you never miss another episode of Infinitia Verity. Got a what-if moment from history you want us to explore? Drop it in the comments below, because here history is always a little more interesting when we ask what if.